We're driving a 2024 Toyota Grand Highlander. Coming up, you've heard of a public display of affection, a PDA. Well, the Grand Highlander gave me a PDA that I did not like. But first, information explosion. You guys know that Toyota Highlander is a 3-row midsize SUV? Well, the Grand Highlander is a bigger version of that, and it's all new for 2024. Let's begin with interior.
There's a variety of materials and texture that gives it some style, like stitching and this.
Definitely not wood.
What really jumps out to me about this interior, I don't think I have ever been more delighted by the amount of storage in a vehicle.
Wow, tell us more.
Okay, there are so many cup holders of all different...
13 bottles and cups.
And they accommodate different sizes of cups. Like there's this huge one up here that I didn't have anything big enough to fill it.
What? We'll call that the big gulp nook just to keep moving things along.
Okay, ample door storage.
A super huge sauce pocket. You could get like a 20-piece nug situation and work it with that zone.
Also, all 3 rows have ample, I'm gonna call it rock storage because that's what generally comes into my vehicle.
Precocious 8-year-old.
And then there's this sliding functionality. We can both keep our arms on the armrest, but access it. And who knows what this is?
That is the lid to a pumpkin spice frosty, sweetie, and it's so big it just got lost in there.
You could definitely fit a huge person there, but getting it in and out might be a bit awkward.
By not having a flip up, you can reach in and then immediately start handing things back to your child rather than having to go up and over a lid.
Who wants a yucky lid?
It was previously pumpkin spiced. Even trash is pumpkin spice now.
I'm obedient, but I don't want that.
That little area right in front of you is super cool too.
It's plenty big enough for like a collection of phones, and there's a USB-C port right here for easy charging. There's also this nook right here if you want to put some flying eye sunglasses.
There's an easy access phone zone here. This Qi wireless charging pad, it comes standard. One complaint, if you set anything over on this side, that plastic is going to make a lot of noise.
If you place your phone in the charging area, there's not a lot to keep it in place. So with the way you drive, it kind of slides back and forth.
We're driving the fanciest rendition of Grand Highlander, which is the Platinum trim. Despite that high trim level, I would not say this is luxurious. There's a lot of hard plastic materials if you start poking around, this one being a prime spot. Can get a pretty sick sound out of it though. Sick. Oh, and I did also find these controls pretty easy to use. There aren't a ton of buttons and it all just kind of makes sense. Now, what about seats?
I like the driver's seat better than the passenger seat because there's a little more adjustability, but overall comfortable.
My only issue might be a lack of upper lateral support. Not that this is a sporting vehicle, but if you live where we live, where you're always turning, you might get, thrown around a little bit.
Or super ripped abs.
Yeah, oh, my silver linings come shirtless. So the second row is plenty accommodating. Slide and recline function so you can apportion space however you see fit. In higher trims, there's a little center console. It is easily removable. So if you want easy pass through to the third row, let's say for children to walk through, then you can just pop that right out. The big news with the Grand Highlander is that third row. Unlike the regular Highlander, which is a little cozy for an adult, you can put a very normal sized adult, let's say the quintessential 5'10" Micah Muzio. Quintessential meaning a typical representation of an American male. And they would fit just fine in that back seat. I'm 5'10" with a long torso. Yeah, my head clears no problem. My knees are not digging into the back of the second row seat. My feet do fit underneath the second row seat. The version we're driving has the second row captain's chairs, but in lower trims you can get an 8-passenger version with a second row bench. Getting to the third row, I think, is workable for a child. There's 2 different ways that you can slide the second row forward. And then the aperture to get in is quite generous, and I really like how there's a really big flat spot to put your feet. When you want to drop those second row seat backs to make them flat, you need 2 hands to do so, and you may not always have 2 hands to do so if you are a parent. And then for the third row, you have to hold the latch beyond a certain point before it'll actually drop.
Trickiest part of operating that third row cargo was grabbing the little strap that comes with it.
It takes a lot of effort, doesn't it?
It does.
On a brighter note, there is a good amount of space behind the third row for cargo, 20.6 cubic feet, which is like 4.5 cubic feet more than in the standard Highlander, and just about even with the Kia Telluride. The power liftgate does come standard, and then we also have the optional kick-activated liftgate, which in our experience tended to work well. If you fill this thing to the brim, we've got a digital rearview mirror here, so you can still see behind you when you're backing up. Now, kiddo, how do you find climbing in and out of this vehicle, both in the second and third row? Great. And what about you, sweetie? Any issues getting the booster seat installed?
The latch points are not covered. In the third row, there is only one set of latch points and 3 seats, but there is a top tether for the middle seat in the third row.
As for safety, neither the NHTSA nor IIHS have rated the Toyota Grand Highlander yet as of when we're making this video, but I suspect it's going to do pretty darn well. As for active safety, you get a full suite: lane keeping assist, automatic emergency braking with pedestrian detection, blind spot warning, 8 airbags. Family, what do we think? Is the Toyota Grand Highlander family friendly?
Family friendly.
Family friendly.
Yeah, family friendly. Rear window test. All the way down. Give me that pretzel, give me that pretzel. Armrest test. Okay, driving in a comfortable 8 and 4, I can reach the inboard and outboard armrest with relative ease. The stitching is inboard of where my arm actually lands, so no issues there. I feel like it's slightly higher outboard, but I'm not going to complain too much about that. Reasonable squish factor, and bonus points, this armrest is fixed rather than having it attached to a lid. I'm going to go 80% outboard, 85% inboard. Hey! Would you like to see more videos like this where we review cars as a family, plus the occasional helicopter adventure? I'm running out of breath. If so, you are welcome to subscribe. Style. Very quickly, let me thank the sponsor for today's video, Flying Eyes Sunglasses. I wear them in the helicopter, but sweetie, you wear them in your daily life. Why is that?
Because they are so lightweight and comfortable. They're made out of a material called Resilimide, which is super lightweight, very durable. The temples are very thin. They slide easily under a headset, which makes editing all day long super comfortable.
And it takes a lot of editing to make all this work. If you would appreciate aviation-grade eyewear, whether you are a pilot or a non-pilot who just has to deal with an endless mountain of footage from her marginally competent partner on YouTube, click the link in the description below. If you use the promo code Micah, you can save 10% on Flying Eyes.
The Grand Highlander isn't like super flashy, but it is handsomely styled. And I might mostly be saying handsome because in the front it looks like there's a twizzly chrome mustache.
It's kind of like a very average dude who decided to wear a button-up shirt. Hey, look, you're doing pretty good, right?
That tends to give a vehicle more of a timeless quality.
Many competitive designs that might be more exciting will probably not age nearly as well. I'll also note that compared to the standard Highlander, the Grand Highlander is a little bit more squared off, so maybe a little bit more rugged rather than smooth looking, and it is 9 inches longer than a standard Highlander. What do you think? Do you like the look of the Grand Highlander? If so, if no, tell us in the comment section. In motion! Driving the Toyota Grand Highlander around this corner right now, it's very vague. Is this going too fast for you? It's not really telling me anything, so I'm kind of not sure when it's happy or unhappy in terms of cornering speed. Okay, message loud and clear, like I'm not here to push you. So it's not a fun SUV to drive, but I bet you're not surprised. I wasn't surprised either. That is not the function here. If I do a little bit of this kind of stuff, you can see the body sort of wallow a little bit. It's a softly suspended SUV that's made to absorb the imperfections of the road, and it's doing that. One point of praise, though, for how the Grand Highlander turns, the turning circle is relatively small. It's a manageable 38 feet. If you're maneuvering your way through the grocery store, the Grand Highlander won't hold you back.
I don't recommend maneuvering through the grocery store. Perhaps the parking lot.
But I want my 5% now! I'm just gonna floor it and see what the 8-speed automatic transmission does. Floored. Yeah. So not too much of a delay before I got that downshift. You'd think, oh, big SUV, fairly small displacement 4-cylinder, but I find there to be plenty of power. And in normal operation, the transmission's behavior is innocuous. I'm not really noticing what it's doing, which to me is a good sign. There were two elements driving the Grand Highlander that I didn't like. One, on the freeway, there was a very odd noise coming from the A pillar. And then the other one, you kind of have to push the brake pedal through like a mush zone in order to get the deceleration you want. All right, that's what I think, but what does Sweetie think? Evie's at the wheel. How do you feel about the dimensions of the Grand Highlander? And I asked because we're going over a narrow bridge.
I do really appreciate that there is a camera and that when you are already moving when you turn it on, it immediately shows you what you want to see instead of swooping around the car.
Oh yeah, all those like graphics and stuff that are unnecessary. So do you feel like you got a sense of the dimensions of the Grand Highlander?
If I didn't have that camera, I wouldn't feel very good going over the bridge.
It is a fairly high hood and it's not quite clear how like the body swoops in. I can see why you might be a little unclear after a 1-week loan. What about blind spot?
Visibility over my right and left shoulder seems pretty good.
What about steering effort? Does it feel good?
The steering on this, I feel like I have to turn it a little bit far, but it is easy to do so.
Gotcha. So easy effort, slow steering ratio.
That's what I think. What do you think?
No, I do the clapping here. So when you pull out, give it some gas and see how it feels.
Okay.
Feel like you got enough thrust to get out in front of traffic?
Absolutely. And how the sound comes in is very reassuring.
Let's go. A Jeep might be coming. Overall, are you comfortable driving the Grand Highlander?
I prefer to drive something a little smaller, but I'm fairly comfortable.
That's about as good as we're gonna get. I'm getting back to the driver's seat. Overall, the Grand Highlander to me is inoffensive transportation, which is what it's made to do, and then it does it. Hooray! Onward to emotion factor. Is there an emotion here, sweetie?
It depends on what moves you emotionally. If you're really excited about ample storage, reliability, things just working in a way that's not going to be too intrusive,
you might be dead inside. You're like the Jeff Foxworthy of people who are dead inside.
But it's true. Like everything just works. And if that is what moves you emotionally, then there is an emotion factor here.
You know what I call that? I call that TCB. Elvis knew it, taking care of business. But yeah, if you get emotion from like cool style or dynamic driving or, you know, like adventure, that kind of stuff.
Look elsewhere.
You're gonna want to look elsewhere, yeah. But TCB, that's what we think. But what do you think? Are you feeling emotionally drawn to buy a Toyota Grand Highlander of your very own? If you are, you may need to sell your current car first. To see what your current car is worth or what you should pay for a Toyota Grand Highlander, click the Kelley Blue Book pricing link in the description below. Remarks! Remark number 1, infotainment. We have a standard 12.3-inch screen, and I love that all of the models get the big screen. This is the newest Toyota interface. It's the same one we've seen in many other modern Toyota vehicles, and I think we've really come around on appreciating the simplicity of this interface.
I find it very easy to operate. The icons are a little bit small, so if you don't see well, it can be hard to determine what you're pushing, but the interface is so simple that it's very easy to adapt to.
The system also includes wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto standard, which I think pairs very well with the standard Qi wireless phone charging pad. In addition to that wireless charging pad, there are 7 USB ports strewn throughout all 3 rows of the Grand Highlander, so everybody has a way to charge their device and ignore each other. The version we're driving has the optional digital gauge cluster, and then right over here we've got something that monitors the face of whoever's driving here, and it can use that facial recognition to pull up different driving profiles. Oh, a sweetie is sitting here. Let's make it all cozy. Now, in the beginning of the video, I teased that the Grand Highlander gave me a PDA that I did not appreciate. I was not talking about a public display of affection. I was talking about, oh my.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, Sensi, for not appropriate. You're bad.
Sorry.
Was that affection?
I was trying to make you laugh.
That's how we show affection. Anyway, proactive driving assist. You can apply gentle steering and brake to keep you a certain safe distance away from the vehicle ahead, or let's say there are pedestrians walking on the side of the road. It might nudge you a little bit away from them. You may feel differently, but I really didn't like it. Every time I would come up to a corner, and that's everywhere where we live, it's always like applying brakes in ways that I don't want to. If I'm letting the car drive, okay, drive. If I'm driving, don't get in my way. To me, it felt,
Invasive?
Invasive, that is exactly the word.
Like an unwanted PDA from your wife.
Exactly. Yeah, I definitely went into there to the settings and turned that off promptly. So you gonna ignore Lefty, or? Well, there's no easy way to get into it. Now it's time for the Muzio family smell test. Our daughter doesn't like new car smell, and some people might agree with her. Kiddo, how do you find the smell of the Toyota Grand Highlander? Is it good, bad, or just okay? Just okay. And that was the Muzio family smell test. All right, let's talk engine choices. The base engine is a 2.4 liter turbocharged inline 4-cylinder. If you want all-wheel drive, that'll be $1,600. Then there's a 2.5 liter hybrid. It makes similarly good horsepower, but the amazing thing is that its city fuel economy is literally 75% better than the city fuel economy in the base engine. Then if you want to live the sporty life, there's the Hybrid Max powertrain. It's a 2.4 liter turbo hybrid. Regardless of engine, 87 octane is fine. And if you want to tow, the hybrid can max out at 3,500 pounds, while the gasoline and hybrid max can tow 5,000 pounds. Sweetie?
Yeah.
Can I give you a trim recommendation?
Please do.
Our trim recommendation is which trim will give you the essential features you'd regret not getting, but at the lowest possible price. For our trim recommendation, we're going to go with the base XLE, but we're going to suggest going with the hybrid version. It's only $1,600 more than the gas version, but fuel economy improves by fully 75% in the city. That is outrageous. For equipment, that XLE trim includes faux leather seats with heated and power adjustable front seats, that 12.3-inch infotainment display we talked about earlier, 3-zone climate control, a power liftgate, and smart key access on all doors. Grand total, $44,670. As for competitors, there's the Kia Telluride, Ford Explorer, and Honda Pilot, and they are all cheaper where base price is concerned, but the Grand Highlander comes well equipped. If you don't need quite so much space, the original Toyota Highlander might make sense. Though in comparable XLE trims, the Grand Highlander is only about $1,000 more than the original Highlander. So, maybe get the big one. Going the other direction, if you're wondering if the full-size Toyota Sequoia might be the smarter 3-row SUV choice, click up here to hear what we thought about it. Did we miss any remarks? If so, tell us in the comment section. Synopsis! And thinking about the essence of the Toyota Grand Highlander, it's the same basic recipe as the thing you already like, but a little bit more of it. To me, it is the In-N-Out Burger double-double of mid-size 3-row SUVs. Family, I think we've done a good job reviewing the Toyota Grand Highlander. May I have a 5 and a 5? And you, come get your high five. Bam!